Welcome to News Chunks. We're back from our brief hiatus and we're ready to bring down the chunks of anime news. For those who are interested in helping Japan after the recent quake and tsunami, go check out our Shaft Network Help Japan video to find out how you can help. But our big news of the week is big news for manga enthusiasts out there. Kodansha USA is going to republish the Sailor Moon manga. That's right. Kodansha USA announced 2 Fridays ago that they're planning to publish the Sailor Moon manga and its prequel manga? I think it's manga. Not mangoes, not manga. Codenamed Sailor V. The manga will be released in 12 bi-monthly sets, which will bring the series down from the original 18 single volumes for easier collecting. Sailor Moon in manga form was originally released by Tokyo Pop under the name Mix Entertainment at the time, but it's been out of print for 6 years, so this is big news! As Sailor Moon approaches its 20th anniversary. Now, if we can get that uncut version of the original anime we were promised, that'd be great. Come on, get to work, Funimation. We know you can do it. But let's get to Chris with this week's Stream Break.
And welcome to this week's Stream Break. It's been a while, but I thought I'd talk about the next wave of streaming anime to hit Netflix streaming. And yes, it's a mostly Funimation-dominated list with shows like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Black Butler, Hetalia, Kenichi, and Spice and Wolf. And that's just mentioning a couple. Now keep in mind that Netflix streaming requires a paid Netflix account, but is well worth the investment when more and more great anime make their way onto not only streaming, but DVD rentals as well. Now let's move back on to Gene with some headlines.
Thanks, Chris, for the big Stream Break. Be sure to check out some Netflix anime. My queue doubled when I saw all that anime. But let's get to some headlines. Probably the biggest headline this week is the Akira live-action adaptation moving forward, or I like to think of it as lurching forward, like some kind of hideous science experiment gone wrong. The latest announcements have been possible actors to play the leads. Naturally, since this is still in the planning stages, there's nothing but nerd rage over it. But if you would like to nerd rage yourself, here's the list. I'm not repeating it. Yeah, this is going to be the most Americanized thing since Chinese food. Speaking of poor Americanization, Hasbro is releasing a new US-made and produced version of Duel Masters. This version of Duel Masters, following the previous 7 anime series that were produced in Japan, will be aired on the Hub, which is owned by Hasbro and Discovery Communications. This will most likely do its best to keep up the US adaptation tradition of the first anime series by adding in nonsensical dialogue, crappy music, and enough breaking of the fourth wall jokes to make Yu-Gi-Oh! GX's US adaptation subtle by comparison. Now, in what I'm just going to call a showboating publicity stunt, Funimation has dropped their lawsuit against the remaining of the 1,337 defendants who were charged with illegally downloading One Piece, though they reserve the right to hang the defendant by the longest yardarm at a later date. And to talk about one of those fabled US anime distributors that isn't Funimation, Sentai Filmworks has picked up the distribution rights for Angel Beats, a series about kids stuck in some kind of killer purgatory. This will have a dub, and the dub will premiere at Anime Boston 2011 this year, and you are going to be guaranteed that we're going to talk about it in our AB coverage, so look out for those Anime Boston Shaft Network episodes. The series will be hitting DVD and Blu-ray at its unannounced date. That's it for headlines. Let's turn it over to Chris with this week's Release Spotlight.
And welcome to Release Spotlight. Probably the biggest release you're looking forward to is Yu Yu Hakusho Season 1 on Blu-ray. I'm just messing with you. It's obviously Evangelion 2.22 feature film on DVD and Blu-ray out by Funimation. Like we said with Eva 1.11, if the series left a bad taste in your mouth, feel free to wash it out with the cool, refreshing, effervescent taste of the Evangelion Rebuild movies. What Eva 1 lacked in action, Eva 2 more than makes up for it, and it's simply stunning in high def as well. Another noteworthy series is Line Barrels of Iron, complete series box set, out by Funimation. This is another dip into the mech pool for Gonzo, who gave us a fairly decent mech show in Full Metal Panic, and that's about all they did in Full Metal Panic. Fairly underrated in its presentation. Visually, the series gives us a different look at kid mech pilots who want to save the world. Other good re-release content this week includes Excel Saga, a complete series box set, and Sergeant Frog Season 2 box set. If you're looking for something new, check out Gooing Saga Box 1 or the fan service-ridden Rosario Vampire complete series box sets for both seasons. And now let's get back to Gene with the Convention Corner.
Thanks for those releases, Chris, but now we're going to go into the Convention Corner where we have loads of convention news this week. Let's start up in the Nashua, New Hampshire and talk about the convention that almost wasn't another anime convention. AAC almost changed their venue after their normal venue had recently closed. Thankfully, they reopened under new management, so they're back on track. Not only that, but they've made some big guest announcements as well, with the following voice actor guests: Chris Casson, Wendy Powell, Robert Axelrod, Chris Smith, and Troy Baker. AAC will take place October 14th through the 16th. Shinboku-Con has announced some guests of honor of their own, including Kyle Hebert, musician Gavin Gozka, and dancing troupe Niji Dancers. Shinboku-Con is taking place in Westlake, Ohio, April 29th through May 1st. Now there are a ton of conventions this weekend that might be in your area. So we're going to forego the reading of the list because it really is a lot, and keep that list in our show notes at shaftnetwork.com. But that's not going to stop me from mentioning a couple like Tekko Shokan and Anime Detour. That full list, once again, will be on our show notes in the news chunks for today up at shaftnetwork.com. But that's it for news chunks. Until next week, stay chunky!